well on that once again, but come straight to the meeting with Prime Minister's meeting with Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. It was a very good meeting between the two leaders. They reviewed the progress in bilateral relations since the time they last met, which was when Prime Minister had visited Bangladesh. After that, as you know, Sheikh Hasina did come to India for a very short visit, basically to pay condolences, when President's wife had died. So the two leaders reviewed the progress in bilateral relations. Both of them expressed great happiness at the very smooth manner in which the land boundary agreement had been implemented, and they look forward to the complete implementation of this agreement in the coming months. Also, there was a discussion on connectivity and infrastructure. In particular, the BBIN model, as you know, for which on road transport, an agreement on which has already been signed. There was also some discussion on the sustainable development goals, how the Prime Minister said, in fact, that we are very happy that the sustainable development goals have enshrined poverty alleviation at their core, which is exactly what was needed. And there was also a discussion on United Nations Security Council reform, with Sheikh Hasina saying that she fully supports the position that India has taken, that there must be reform of the United Nations Security Council, and the 70th anniversary of the UN affords an excellent opportunity to the international community to effect these long-delayed reforms. There was also some discussion on reforms of the institutions of other institutions of global governance, such as the IMF and the World Bank. After that, as you know, the Prime Minister had a meeting with Mr. Ralph Gonsalves, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is in the Caribbean. It's a very small country with just 102,000 population. But yet, it's an influential voice in the United Nations. In particular, the Prime Minister thanked Prime Minister Gonsalves for the leadership he had shown at the time of the text-based negotiations issue which came up in the IGN. And as a result of the initiative taken by countries like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we were able to get a UNGA decision on having text-based negotiations in the IGN. As you know, that is a decision which was adopted by consensus, and November, the next round of the IGN is expected to begin. So the Prime Minister thanked him for that. There was also discussion on the bilateral relationship. The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines expressed his happiness at the assistance that India had provided, and Prime Minister said that we are prepared to further assist the country in capacity building. In fact, there is an invitation to Prime Minister Gonsalves to visit India, and Prime Minister said that he looked forward to that visit, which will happen either late 2015 or early 2016. We then come to the News Corp event, the roundtable meeting on media, technology and communications, the growth story for India. If you have seen my tweets, you have already seen the range of CEOs who were present there. Basically, it was Mr. Rupert Murdoch, the Executive Chairman of News Corp and 21st Century Fox, his son James Murdoch, CEO of 21st Century Fox, Robert Thompson, CEO News Corp, Uday Shankar, CEO Star India, David Zaslav, President and CEO Discovery Communications, Michael Linton, CEO Sony Entertainment, Michael Roth, CEO Interpublic Group of Companies, Shane Smith, CEO Vice Media, Martin Sorrell, CEO WPP, Jeff Bukes, CEO Time Warner, Nancy Dubuc, CEO A&D Networks, Anthony Pratt, Chairman Visi Industries, William Duhamel, Route One Investment Company, and Jeff Ubben, CEO Value Act Capital. So basically, as James Murdoch said, that 40% of the world's entertainment industry was present in that room. And this was a combination of executives dealing with media and entertainment, and also executives who are venture capitalists and who are investors in media-related companies. So this was a combination of people who invest in media and people who do media. So it was a very important meeting because the Prime Minister was able to hear from them what their expectations were from India. As you know, most of them have invested in India and have invested in India for very many years. All of them said that India is the biggest market for them in terms of the phenomenal growth in entertainment channels, in terms of the youth in India, wanting more such content, and they asked for speedier digitization of the Indian systems. Shane Smith, for instance, said that he wanted as soon as possible 4G connectivity to be rolled out, because this is the bandwidth that they need for their programs, their content to be rolled out and for it to reach people as fast as possible. The Prime Minister basically observed that the changes in technology in media in recent times have led to an enormous democratization of knowledge. He said that the world is now a technology-driven society where growth of digital infrastructure is as important as the growth of physical infrastructure. He suggested to the CEOs that India represents both the biggest opportunity and the biggest challenge for them, and urged them to keep regional languages in mind as they develop their content and as they firm up their investment plans for India. He also spoke of the government's vision for Digital India, the plan to connect 600,000 villages through broadband connectivity, and he asked the CEOs to visualize the citizens of the 21st century and think about what values they will represent and what challenges they will face. He also spoke of the role that digital technology can play in human resource development. The Prime Minister emphasized that he saw a key role for digital technology in further strengthening democracy and in India's development narrative. He also gave a number of suggestions to them, in terms of how media and communications company could be part of India's development story. One idea that he gave was, if together we could set up some kind of a communications university in India, a chair in communication studies, for instance, which could then help further progress in the areas that they are really interested in. After that, the Prime Minister had a meeting with the President of Guyana. Now, this was also a very important meeting. Guyana, as you know, has a large population of Indian origin also. In fact, the previous President of Guyana was the chief guest at our Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. And this was an opportunity for Prime Minister to meet with the new President of Guyana, who recently won the elections. And in fact, he invited him to visit India, to which the President said that his last visit to India was 44 years ago. So Prime Minister said that he must visit India. He had come, in fact, he was a soldier at that time, and he had just come to India on a visit. So Prime Minister invited him to come to India. Again, there was a broad-based discussion on the state of the bilateral relationship and what we could do to further improve the partnership. The President expressed very good satisfaction with the kind of support India had provided in IT and in various other fields of capacity building. There was a discussion on the proposed Center for Excellence in IT that India is going to set up. Prime Minister reiterated that we are committed to that and work is proceeding on that. There was also a discussion on UN Security Council reform and how all countries needed to cooperate with each other more closely in order to effect the much needed reform of the Security Council. And there was also a discussion on the threat posed by terrorism. And the Prime Minister once again said that this underscores once again the need for us, for the international community, to come together and pass the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Then there were a series of bilateral meetings that Prime Minister had with leading CEOs of US-based companies. Mr. Ajay Banga, who, as you know, heads MasterCard, was the first to meet him. Thereafter, there was a meeting with Mr. Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City, who was also a great philanthropist and very keenly interested in sustainable development. He mentioned a number of programs that the Bloomberg Foundation had undertaken across the world, which has led to more sustainable lifestyles. It has reduced cancer by cutting down on smoking and things like that. So there was a broad discussion on, what are the kinds of initiatives that we could take together. Then there was a meeting with the CEO of Lockheed Martin, Ms. Marilyn Hewson, and she also said that Lockheed is very committed to India. In fact, they already have a facility in Hyderabad now in partnership with Tata's, which is manufacturing the tail segment of the C-130. Then there was a meeting with AECOM, the CEO of AECOM, which is again a very large infrastructure company. The Prime Minister thanked him for the leadership that he had taken in developing the port of Dhulera. And now, in fact, they have also the contract for development of the smart city in Vizag. He said, in fact, that they employ 2,500 people in India right now, and the plan is to double this number. And 98% of the employees, he said, are Indian. With Michael Bloomberg, I forgot to mention, Prime Minister also thanked him for his guidance on the Smart City project, because as you know, he is the knowledge partner on the Smart City project, and thanks to that, the 100 smart cities have been identified and work is now proceeding on that. So that was AECOM, and then I think we had the CEOs. Yes, we are just, in fact, Ambassador and I are just coming from the dinner with the CEOs. As you know, 42 of the world's leading CEOs of Fortune 500 companies were together in that one room. I was told that the net worth of all the companies put together is $4.5 trillion. So this itself tells you, how important this gathering was. Prime Minister heard from each and every one of them on what their plans for India were, what are the problems that they were facing, how we could resolve them. And by and large, the mood was very upbeat. There was general consensus that the Prime Minister, is effecting change in India. The only thing that all the CEOs said is, please make that change faster. I think that was the overall message that came through. And Prime Minister did assure them that, he was committed. He said fundamentally, he believes in deregulation. Fundamentally, he believes that the government, should allow the private sector space to develop, and that he is for predictable, transparent, accountable governance. I think I will now ask Ambassador now to add a little bit to this, and then we'll open up for questions.